Today, in books used to stabilize my mic, I have Twilight Director's Handbook, signed by Catherine Hardwicke.
Who's Catherine Hardwicke?
The director of Twilight.
That's amazing. Did you meet her?
No, but my friend's dad was a poster designer, and he worked on her next film, which was like the Little Red Riding Hood retelling with Amanda Seyfried.
Yes, I remember
which
that.
Which honestly kind of rocked.
Really?
It was like really dark and fucked up.
Okay, nice.
I was the only one of my friends who liked Twilight at the time. When I was 12 years old, I was a pioneer.
You were. You really were.
Because all of my friends were in the camp of like, he sparkles in the sun. Like, this is so cringe and embarrassing. And I was like, you guys don't understand true love or real yearning. So anyway, so my friend Zoe, shout out, she listens to the pod. Her dad got me the book and had Catherine sign it. And she was like, here you go, you weirdo, that you like this movie.
Oh, thank you, Zoe.
I know. Thanks, Zoe. Just so you guys know, I'm getting over a cold, so if I sound weird, that's why. But I was kind of hoping to have, like, you know, in Friends, when Phoebe gets sick and she has sexy voice.
You're talking to the wrong person.
You haven't seen Friends?
I never liked Friends.
What?
Sorry.
I'm listening to a whole podcast right now, Caroline O'Donoghue's podcast series about Friends.
Okay.
Called Friends Through a Lens. That's great how name. Much I like it. Yeah, it is great.
Great name. No, I never got into Friends. I remember watching it with friends growing up, and I just was like, this isn't funny.
Wow.
Maybe I was kind of ahead of the time, because I think now a lot of people are like, this isn't funny.
No, I would actually argue in the 2010s, people were like, this isn't funny, and then it's really come back around.
I don't know. It never stuck with me.
I think you're wrong, and you should give it another chance. I think some of the writing is really good for a sitcom.
It has a laugh track, right?
Most sitcoms have a laugh track.
That's my thing. Sitcom. My pet peeve is when a show has a laugh track. I hate laugh tracks.
Have you considered taking your implants out and watching it deaf?
So I'm just reading. I'm just reading.
Yeah. And looking at the great 90s outfits.
Maybe.
Anyway, there's an episode where Phoebe gets a cold and she still has to play her gig at the cafe, and she does it, but because she's like losing her voice, she sounds really sexy.
I love that. Is it like a little rasp?
Yeah, a little rasp.
Sure.
But I don't think I have one today. I think I just maybe sound a little nasally.
Maybe. You're asking the wrong person.
I know.
Did you have a good time in LA?
I did. It was really nice for it to be 75 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's really cold here.
Yeah, although when I landed here, I landed at JFK at 6 a.m. and it had just started really snowing. And I love snow. I was taking pictures in the Uber like it was a concert. Like it was magical.
I grew up in a country where it does not snow. Mm-hmm. So when we first met, we lived in Boston. There's a lot of snow in Boston. They were on top of the world. Constantly going outside.
Okay. Yeah, I like winter enthusiasm.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, my mother made her egg lasagna that she makes for Christmas. What is it called in the family stone that she makes? I need to look it up. We just talked about
it. Was basically like an egg casserole, but they didn't call it that. It was,
but it had a fancy name. Guys, you haven't heard it yet because this episode is coming out this week. This is one of the only times we're recording the week it's going to come out due to some scheduling issues. But next week, our bonus episode on the Family Stone will come out on Christmas. Merry Christmas in advance. And we are very confused about the dish that is at the centerpiece of the movie. But
it's an egg breakfast dish.
It's like an egg breakfast lasagna. But then at the end of the episode, I was like, well, my mom does make an egg breakfast lasagna. And then I did ask her to make it when I was home because I'm not going to be there on Christmas proper. And it was delicious.
Oh.
So maybe we shouldn't have been making fun of Meredith with all those.
No, we should have. I grew up eating normal Italian lasagna, so having egg with it seems a little suspicious, but I'm open to trying.
I'm pretty open to putting egg on things for someone that gets the egg ick. Like, when I ate burgers, I loved a breakfast burger with egg on it.
No, I never tried egg with, like, a burger. I love egg in a fried rice.
Yeah.
Nice fried egg on top of my rice.
On an avocado toast, big fan.
Yeah, had that this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
the avocados in New York, something about them, I can't.
Trader Joe's. It's just Trader Joe's avocados. The teeny tiny avocados.
Those were the ones that I always liked as well. But I kept getting, like, they wouldn't ripen right here.
Okay.
Basically what I'm saying
is
I'm an asshole and I only eat avocado in California. And I'm so sorry to everyone that's learning
Whatever,
that.
support your local economy.
Oh my god, dude. I was so excited when I realized this was the episode.
Season 1, Episode 10, The Homecoming, which came out August 8th, 2011. Did you get a chance to look at the painting?
I did.
The painting, The Homecoming, by Jenny Augusta Brownscombe. And it shows a woman holding a baby and greeting a man who looks like he's returned home.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because a man has returned.
A man has returned. Yeah, we open on what I started to text you as this scene was happening. Finally, a happy, no conflict moment between Daphne and Emmett. It's been so long.
Is there no conflict now? I was like, she sees the shine.
Yeah, immediately. But it's just them like talking for 2 seconds and I was like, oh, so happy to see my besties back together. And then immediately. They're planning a fundraiser for Carlton.
Yes.
Emmett lets her talk about her ideas. And then she shows him a little drawing she made for the t-shirts. And can I just say, the drawing, she's like, this is a rough sketch. And it's like, it's cute. It's like hands, finger spelling Carlton. And then it says Carlton could use a hand.
That's cute.
It's really cute.
You know what? It's much better than Bay's sketches from last week.
That is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, wait, is Daphne like a really good artist? Maybe
she's Zach's girl.
And we've just like never noticed. It makes sense because like she grew up with Regina. Obviously some of that talent is natural, but it's probably also fostered by having a mom who's an artist. And I was like, wait, those are really good. And we just focus on them for a second. But I was like, those are way better than Bay's sketches. Sorry to Bay.
And then Emma says, throw that shit out because we're doing a car wash fundraiser. Because I already talked to Bay. It's done. It's set.
First he says, I talked to John. And I'm like, that is so weird for so many reasons. I understand. He
talked to John?
Yeah, he said, I talked to John already. It's done. And Daphne gets prickly immediately. Can you imagine if I was like, Kara, don't worry. I talked to your mom. It's all sorted out.
I'm like, how'd you talk to my mother?
Right. Like, so many questions. Also, why would you talk to my mom without going through me? Like, what kind of relationship do you guys have? And I also feel I have spent more time with your mother than Emmett has spent with John. Anyway, Emmett's like, I talked to Bay. Why would he do anything through Bay when he and Daphne are co-organizing the fundraiser? Why wouldn't he have just gone through Daphne?
I bet he just mentioned it offhand to Bay. And then Bay was like, oh, I have an idea. Let's just use our family car wash. And then she went to John.
Yeah. Bay was probably really gung-ho about being able to help.
Yeah, I think that's what she wanted to do. That seems very Bay.
But yeah, so Daphne's like, what the hell? And then she looks behind her and she has been replaced on the shrine.
The Daphne shrine is gone.
It is almost as if he has cut off the head of Daphne in photos and like
and
pasted Bay on.
I know.
Also they're all from like 2 days because they've only been dating for like 2 weeks. So
it's all like the junkyard photo shoot and then maybe one other photo shoot.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think it was 2 episodes ago where Daphne is drunk from hanging out with Wilkie and she spends the night at Emmett's house and then she finds those photos from the junkyard printed and on the table and she's like, what the hell? And we were like, why would you just have those printed photos out? It's because Emmett went to the photo shop and like printed the photos out because he was intending to replace
He went to CVS and printed out those Kodak pictures.
Man, that boy was ready. He was like, okay, swap them out. And then Emmett's like, wait, Bay didn't talk to you? Because Daphne's like, why the hell do you have so many photos of her up? And he's like, because I guess the last time Emmett saw Bay, she was like, I'm going to go and tell Daphne right now that we're together.
Right, after the billboard.
Yeah.
And then he was like, cool.
And then he just never followed up?
I guess they never followed up. Maybe it's only been one day.
I still feel like I would have shot a text like, hey, how'd it go?
I would be very curious.
Yeah.
But no. Again, the show is so bad at explaining the timeline.
We get some timeline info in just a second, though. So hold on, because I was really excited about it.
Okay. So does he tell Daphne in that scene,
yes.
I am dating Bay?
Yes.
Okay.
He's like, Bay didn't talk to you? And Daphne's like, no. And Emmett's like, he goes, oh, and she just stops him. She goes, hold on. Yeah, she's like, hold on. You told me like 2 weeks ago that is it Brooklyn Decker? Is that the supermodel he's always talking about? If Brooklyn Decker like came down from the heavens and asked to be your girlfriend, you would wait for a deaf girl. And Emmett goes, I did wait. Mic drop. He's like, I did wait. And there's just like a moment of like a pause where Daphne like lets that sink in.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
That's her fault.
And she's basically just like, no, I don't like this. Whatever. Storms out.
Fair.
And then Bae, she is grinning ear to ear at her art show at Buckner, I guess?
There's some art show at Buckner.
It feels very random. Like, this is the first we've heard of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, tracks for a character. She also looks really cute. She has little butterfly clips in her ears.
I like the like space bun situation going on. She does. This is a rare Bae outfit that I actually quite like.
Yeah, this was a favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's outfit like super offended me this episode.
Yeah, good job,
Except
guys.
for Toby's vest, but we'll get into that later.
Bae's presenting her art at this art show, and this man comes up out of nowhere. He's looking at her art. He's like, this is pretty cool. The two of them get chatting, and then
Side note, he's gorgeous.
Sure.
We have to talk about it.
He has like a nice little accent. French accent.
Yeah, I think so.
But he doesn't even introduce himself.
No.
He just says, hey. He notices that she has a guitar pick around her wrist.
So she's wearing Angelo's guitar pick as a bracelet around her wrist.
Yes.
And he's like, wonder where you got my lucky guitar pick.
And that's how he reveals that he is Angelo. That is crazy.
Such a bad father figure, but as like a man, swoon. Unfortunately for me, I'm like, it would work on me.
What, as your dad?
No,
or just like
as a man.
Okay.
As like a romantic man. Like, I understand, like later on in the episode, I feel like Regina's like, I hate this man. And then every time he goes to talk to her, she's like, okay. And I get it.
Sure.
I get it. He's gorgeous.
Anyways, we should probably say Angelo's played by the French actor, I'm going to butcher his first name, Gilles Marini?
Oh.
Gilles Marini?
I don't know either. I think I've always said Giles, but I could be wrong.
That doesn't sound French, though.
Gilles. Well, I didn't take French in high school. I took it.
Me neither. I took Spanish. So. Also, school just let in a strange man.
I think the event is an art show, but then later on, Catherine's like, honey, come sign up for the celebrity golf tournament. So I think it's like a fundraiser for the school or like an open house kind of event. He says later he saw that the art show was happening in the paper or something in like local events. So he was like, it's not like I was weird. It was like open to anybody.
Yeah, this man loves the local Kansas news.
Yeah, he is reading that newspaper. He is supporting local media for sure.
He's supporting the Kansas City Herald. He's supporting whatever paper that had
Chicago Tribune, I think.
Chicago Tribune and whatever said that the Buckner art celebration was happening. But then John comes up because he's like, oh, who's this man talking to my daughter? And then Angelo introduces himself as a gallery owner.
No, Bae does.
Bae does.
I think Angelo was gonna be like,
I'm dad.
I'm the dad.
Crazy.
I'm the daddy. But John is like, who is this, honey? And Bae's like, a gallery owner.
Which I think is the right thing to do.
Judging by his reaction later, yes, it was.
You're in public. This is not the time.
I did make a note because like my one issue with, it's not Angelo as a character. I do think it's like the actor's fault, but I don't think he can help it. He is I've only ever seen him play like,
he's very charismatic,
charming, sexy men.
Yes.
But I like have a hard time believing him as a dad because even when he's like, it's nice to meet you, sweetheart, it like feels flirty to me the way he says it.
It's so odd.
Even though it's not. And I think it is genuinely just that this man, this actor, Gilles, has like a raw charisma that cannot be tampered down.
He's not daddy.
He's not daddy? A dad. He's daddy.
He's not dad. He's daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting casting. But that works because he was never going to be dad.
Because then their next interaction is like at the hotel bar.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is a weird place to meet your teenage daughter.
It's so strange.
Like, other people in that bar probably think that something like salacious is going down.
Yeah. So after Buckner, John and Catherine are with their lawyer talking about the hospital case. And apparently the hospital has reduced their offer and they want to do a no-fault clause. As in, it's not their fault that the babies were switched to birth. That's kind of it. Next, we're at Geraldo's salon. Regina's there.
Regina's there, none the wiser to anything going on.
None the wiser.
She's just like, so excited to get my check.
And I think this is her first paycheck because she seems confused.
Okay, so this is her first paycheck, and this is where we get the timeline check.
Okay.
Because she says this is for a whole month. So she's worked there at least a month.
Okay.
And I feel like she started at Geraldo's like 1 or 2 weeks after moving in to the Kenishes.
Okay.
So I'm putting us at about 6 weeks. Later on in the episode, Catherine does say, quote, dealing with Regina all these past months. But I think that between finding out the girls were switched and them coming over that first time, there was like a couple of weeks.
But they don't tell us that.
They, in the like pilot episode, they kind of imply it's been like some time.
Right. I think it's been
since they've met.
Okay.
So since they've initially found out.
Yeah.
And then since they're now coming over to the Kenish house. So I think like that we can maybe say like 2 weeks max. And then maybe a week between that meeting and when Daphne's like, Regina can't pay rent, so we're gonna have to like move out of state. And then they move in, and then it's been, so like I think at max it's been like 2 months and 1 week. That is like the max. So when Catherine says like all these months, she really just means 2 months. But
okay, good to know. I feel like I need to draw a physical timeline for myself.
Okay.
Like red tape all over the walls as to what's going on.
Make a great post on the Instagram.
Thank you.
And then she opens the check and she's like, what the fuck?
Also, you didn't know beforehand you didn't discuss your contract with the salon?
Yeah, I don't know.
You would sign a contract with the salon for your chair, would you not? You would know how much the salon is taking out.
To be fair, if I look into the details of what gets taken out of my paycheck, even though it's the same every time, I get angry the same amount every time.
Right.
When I'm like, wow, that's so much of my money gone.
Well, she was like, Geraldo, you took 60% of my paycheck. And he's like, sorry, girl.
Yeah, he's basically like, yeah, that's how it works. It's been a while. Regina, we're going to jump ahead a minute because Regina's solution to this, can we just talk about this? Her whole solution to this right now.
Her whole solution is, you know what? I'm going to open my own salon. If it's the easiest thing you can do.
Not only that, and I understand it's kind of a plot device to give her a reason to need the money from the court case, but like her going from in 2 months from I'm so broke, I can't pay rent, I'm like months behind on my rent, to I have a solid, steady job at a salon that, yeah, I guess the pay is not as good as she was hoping. But she also a couple of weeks back said like to Daphne, when Daphne's trying to have a serious conversation, Regina's like, these Mission Hills ladies are good tippers. Like,
but also, this is her first paycheck. She doesn't have the money for a salon.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is like for her to be like, finally, a place where I have a stable job, that is great. And I'm like doing well and I don't have to pay rent. You know what would be awesome for me to do right now? Take out a loan, a small business loan, open up my own business with all my spare time that I have from not hanging out with either of my daughters who really need my support right now. And I'm just going to like girl boss my way into my own business. And then she says to Adriana, my clients are pretty loyal. I think they'd follow me. Your clients that you've had for
they cut
1 month?
You've cut their hair once.
Yeah.
How often are you going to them in the span of a month?
Like, it doesn't make any sense. It just makes me be like, is Regina dumb? Like,
and the bank is like, yes, you're dumb.
Yeah. Yes, you're dumb. And Catherine says to her when she finds out, like, congratulations, at least you know what you want to do. Like, that's half the battle. It shocks me that Catherine is so supportive of it. Because I think she would be like, girl, like, you have bigger fish to fry. I don't know.
With what money?
With what money? With what, like, consistency, responsibility?
The bank even says you have a crappy credit history.
Yeah.
We're not giving you a loan.
And you have no collateral.
Nothing.
She says, my collateral is my track record and my clients of, like, the last 10 years.
And the bank basically laughs at her.
It feels so unearned of her to be like, I've worked for this. Like, I could see her being like, I'm going to go back to working out of the Kenish house and just, like, work it out with Catherine.
Yeah, you could have done that.
Yeah, you totally could have done that.
And you would get your whole income.
But she wants a girl boss arc, whatever. Pisses me off. Anyway,
yeah,
we
the
can just
storyline is so weird.
I'm gonna like mostly ignore that for the rest of the episode.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And then Bae comes back to the house and Daphne is waiting outside to ambush her about Emmett. Daphne's like, when were you gonna tell me about Emmett? And Bae's like, oh, I meant to last night, but then remember how you told me you had a crush on him now?
Right.
And she's obviously pissed. Also, Bae came home hoping to tell her about Angelo, and then they fight, and so then Bae's like, well, now I'm not going to tell you about Angelo. She says, like, I'm sorry, there wasn't a good time to tell you, but I should have. And she does should have up on her forehead. And I'd never seen it up there.
It should not be up there.
Okay. So I guess a problem that I have with this phase of the show is they might have had her sign it wrong on purpose.
I think she did that so it was in the camera frame.
No, it's a wide shot of her.
It's a wide shot?
It's a really wide shot.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh my God, have I been signing should wrong this whole time? Bay's signing it wrong. And maybe they did it on purpose to be like...
She's not perfect.
She's not perfect. But then it would have been good to have Daphne go, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck you. Like, to be like, fuck you, bitch. And you're signing it wrong. Like, it would have been a good opportunity for her to be like, how can you and Emmett be together if you can't even remember the sign for should? I don't know.
That would have been great.
Yeah. So
come on, writers.
That one has been bothering me. Before I watched this episode, I was thinking of the way she had signed should in this episode. Because I remember watching it in real time and being like, that's wrong.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. And then this is where there's a Twilight reference.
Go on.
I texted Kara last night at 2 a.m. when I was watching this episode, all caps, Twilight reference. And I have been, if any of you listening are on the Switched at Birth Reddit, there is a long thread going being like, I feel like there's a lot of Twilight comparisons. And I have been in there a lot being like, you are so right. Here are all the ones that I've found so far.
This is awesome.
So Daphne, I think it's also because it's 2011, right? So it's like peak Twilight time.
Yeah, it was on the writers' minds.
Daphne's like, you will never know him. And Bay says, if vampires can date humans, then I think that deaf people can date hearing people. So true, queen.
Thank you, Bay.
This is such a good callback to us talking about the deaf hearing divorce rate last episode.
Bay said, stop it.
It's
inter-able couples are valid.
That truly is what Edward and Bella are. They're an inter-able.
Inter-able?
Yeah.
Who has the disability?
Well, Bella, because she's human.
Yeah.
And to Edward, who's like got super strength and super speed and super sight and super smell and super hearing.
Right. Poor Bella.
And is immortal. He's constantly like, you're so breakable, you're so fragile, you can't even do anything.
I can't even have sex with you.
Yeah, no, he's literally being so ableist, actually. Wait. Edward Cullen canceled in 2025, ableist behavior. But he kind of fetishizes it. Oh, wow, there's a lot to talk about here. Okay.
Wow, disability.
We're going to move on.
Twilight Through a Disability Lens, new podcast.
Oh my God. I don't think I can make it personally, but I would love to facilitate that.
Whoever's if you would like to do that, go right ahead.
And then Daphne's like, he's my best friend. Can you find anybody else? I think that's a fair initial reaction.
Right.
Considering all the stuff that happened with Liam, even though Bay didn't explicitly, continuously ask Daphne to break up with Liam. She did ask once and then kept sort of indicating it. So I think it's fair for Daphne to be like, that's my best friend, even though she hasn't really been giving a fuck about him for a couple of episodes now. But whatever. And Bay's like, no.
It's too late.
It's too late.
They have high eyes for each other. The ship has sailed.
Yeah. And then next scene, Wilkie is back, thank God.
I know, thank God. And I guess the boys are back in school. Their suspension is done.
Done. Toby makes an Olivia Wilde reference.
What?
Yeah, he says, which this really dated it, because I was like, oh yeah, this is around Tron era. And Wilkie's like, you'll never guess. Like, I have great news. And Toby's like, unless you're about to tell me that Olivia Wilde's car has broken down in front of my house and that she, like, wants to go on a date with me, like, I don't care about what you have to say.
But guess what? It's even better. We're playing at East West Fest.
East West Fest!
I think that's a fun name for a festival.
It is fun.
East West Fest.
Wilkie's like, yeah, I used the deaf drummer angle to get us in.
And they loved it.
And so he's like, remember our deaf drummer, whose name he can't remember?
Oh, I knew it was a guy from Twilight.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said, guitar face, we're playing, including Emmett. So figure it out.
Yeah, we gotta get Emmett.
And then Bay is venting to Emmett about Angelo showing up.
Yeah, he's sitting on top of a car eating a sandwich. That looks really good.
It does look really good. She's pacing so much. There's no way
he could not read her lips.
Yeah.
There's no way.
She's like pacing away from him. But I kind of like that he's like, I'm going to let her
rant. I'm going to let her sandwich. Rant.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I get the gist.
Yeah, I think he was like, okay, she met her dad and she's probably feeling some feelings about it. I'm going to eat my sandwich. But then she does go see Angelo. Yeah. They are at the hotel, restaurant, or a bar. Again, straight, I don't know.
Weird place to meet. I don't know. Maybe go to like a cafe.
I was going to say
it's
a cafe.
Very much a bar. It's like not even a restaurant.
Yeah.
He's like drinking a beer.
It's weird. But Bay goes to see Angelo, and he says, I love local media. I found out about the switch on, I guess, the Kansas City Herald. And that's how I found out about you. And I knew I had to go see you.
It's like a very mystical story. He's like, there was a man on a train reading the paper, and then he left the paper, and I picked up the paper.
Was he in Kansas?
And
he was in Chicago, right?
He was in Chicago. It was in the Chicago Tribune, I think. Oh. He was like, there was a little blurb on it.
Huh.
And then...
Okay, sure.
And then he, like, did more digging, I guess. I don't know.
He probably did a little search on searchberserk.com.
I think he's lying.
Really?
Yeah, that's my theory. That's too... Whoa, you were on a train and you just happened to pick up the paper that the guy set down.
Well, how would you think he found out? What's another way? Maybe he just Googles Regina once in a while to see what she's up to.
I don't know. But I mean, there's a lot of comments like Regina says, like, oh, now that you have a rich daughter, you're like coming back around. So I do wonder if he had it in the back of his mind a little bit. I do also think maybe he was keeping tabs on them a little bit because he says later on in the episode, and we'll get to it because I have a lot of feelings about it, but he says, like, I wanted to keep in contact with you, and you were the one that...
And Regina pushed him away.
Yeah, that pushed me away and shut me out.
I do wonder if that is an interesting story. It's possible he did see in the paper, whatever. He loves local media. But I bet he just does a Google search of Regina maybe every few months to see what she's up to, and then boom, that article came up.
Yeah.
One day, and then he was like, bam, okay. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching, yeah.
Bay asks, so what ethnicities am I? And he goes, a little Italian, some French, some Algerian. And then she goes, like I'm Arab? Cool.
Yeah, Bay is really stoked.
She's a coy Puerto Rican. And
she would have loved 23andMe.
Oh my God.
We should have added that to her Christmas gift
list.
She would have loved 23andMe.
You're right.
She just wants to know down to the percentage point, like, what she is. So then John and Emmett are planning the car wash fundraiser. Yes. Again, it's so funny that Emmett's the one, like, coordinating that aspect and not Daphne, his daughter.
No.
Emmett's like, will there be a sign? And John's like, I don't know what he's saying. Can somebody help me?
Well, it's been very obvious, John. You're dumb.
Literally drawing a box in the air.
Giant box in the air.
And mouthing, sign.
Yes. Again, Emmett is a very clear signer.
So clear. It's so clear to understand him.
Even if you don't know a lick of ASL, if you met Emmett, you would be able to have a conversation with him. He's very easy to understand.
Yeah. So, anyway.
He gets Daphne to interpret.
He gets Daphne to interpret the word sign. And then John's like, buddy, I got a banner coming tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
But Daphne also doesn't want to be involved because she's mad at Emmett.
Yeah. So then you realize, she's like, no, mama. And John's like, Emmett, can you fill her in on the instructions? I do love sassy Daphne that Emmett's like, so the cars, they're going to roll down.
Wash car, dry car. I get it.
Yeah. She's like, whatever. Okay. This is my favorite part of the episode.
Okay.
So she tries to walk away from him and Emmett's like, no, girl, we're gonna have it out. Pulls her into the car wash.
They're in front of the car wash.
They're like in front of it, but I just mean like they're like, it's a dramatic background.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, what's going on? Let's have it out.
Let's hash it out right now.
And she's like,
I can't.
And then she's like, I started to think that maybe you and I, and he's like, stop.
I don't want to hear it.
Enough. And then they do this really great split screen. Well, it's not split screen, but it's like they caption both of them at the same time simultaneously on the screen together as they're both, because they're both signing at each other so fast, yelling at each other basically. Yeah. But it's just like very satisfying to watch.
I love when they do that.
And he's like, don't do this to me. I waited for you for 8 years. Which is crazy for him to say out loud. Well, that's their whole friendship. So I'm kind of like...
Since they were 8 years old?
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, you maybe loved her when you were 8 years old, but like you guys weren't going to date when you were 8 years old.
Right.
You could be like, for the past year and a half, I've been trying to hook up and you haven't wanted to, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like, I waited 8 years for you. Fuck you, basically. Mm-hmm. And she's like, okay, well, now you're with my sister. Like, that's fucked up. And then...
They kiss in front of the car wash.
First of all, this gagged me when I watched it live. I remember I was at my friend's house and we were like all watching and we were screaming. They kiss. I always felt when I watched it like it was Daphne pulling him in to kiss him. But watching it last night, it's totally Emmett.
It's Emmett?
It's totally Emmett. I mean, it's both of them. It's both of them. But it's maybe more Emmett than it is Daphne.
Wow.
By like a lot. I always thought it was like Daphne's like, no, come on, let's kiss. Like, let me prove it to you. Because then he stops her and he's like, I'm with Bae. But it's totally him being like, all right, let's just see if it works real quick.
Yeah, why not?
And I think this is fine. Because no one tells Bae in this episode. I don't remember if she ever finds out.
I don't think she ever finds out.
But in this episode, no one tells her.
Yes.
I guess I wanted your thoughts on it. I think, personally, that if you have had a slow burn crush on someone that you have known for 8+ years who is a huge aspect of your life, and we have been dating for like 2 weeks, and it's a point of contention in your friendship, and you guys have a moment of like, should we just see real quick if this, like, you guys have an in-the-moment, passionate kiss that's like a buildup of 8 years of tension and friendship that I haven't been present for at all. Like, I think that's fine. I think I'd rather that happen now than like 6 months down the line. Like, they've been dating for 2 seconds. They're not even like boyfriend, girlfriend. But what do you think? I feel like by your face, you do not agree.
I'm afraid A is going to listen to this and be like, Kara promotes cheating.
I think what makes me mad is when people are like, blanket, that's cheating. And I'm like, every cheating scenario involves so much context.
Yes.
That really only the people involved in the scenario can fully understand. Not to like defend cheaters, but like cheating is a personal crime. It's not like a public crime. Like it's not like it's not a federal crime.
I agree. I think I'm having trouble with this because I know what Emmett does eventually.
Yes. I'm not, oh my God, no. That's so different from, I'm just talking about this specific moment. And I'm not even talking about him. I'm trying to think of like, if I were Bae, would I want to know? I guess that's my question for you. Is like, would you want to know?
No. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. It's so different because they are 16 years old as compared to like if they were 40 years old.
Yeah. Wait, in which direction?
As in, like, I think it's more permissible at that age because they're young and they're stupid and they're still testing things out and they still don't know what they want. Yeah, I don't know. I think I get why they did it. Might as well kiss and see what happens. And if it works out, then...
Right, if they kissed and there was, like, an amazing spark, then he'd have to be like, okay, fuck, like, let me go end things with Bae.
Yeah.
This makes sense. But he was like, no, I'm with Bae.
And then that was it. Great. Then
that's
fine with me.
Now that they've kissed, the tension's gone.
The tension's gone, and he realizes, wait, nah.
Yeah, now there's not like a fantasy what if in his head.
Yeah. But then he does end up getting grumpy and lashing out.
That's true. He does. But I think...
Is it because he regrets his decision, or is it because he knows he did something wrong, and then he's taking it out on Bae?
So I think it's because he realized that this is it. He's made the commitment. He's chosen Bae.
Okay.
And because he's realized that, I'm not saying he's got like buyer's remorse, but I think he's just like, I have committed to the hearing girl. I just rejected my deaf best friend that I've been pining after for 8 years. I just admitted to her that I've been pining after her for 8 years. And now I'm seeing my hearing girlfriend or person that I'm dating. I don't think she counts as his girlfriend yet. I don't know. Who is in that moment, Bae's kind of being inconsiderate too. Like at the car wash, the next day at the car wash, Toby and Wilkie show up.
Yes.
Looking to convince Emmett, like, look, see, we're nice. We'll like help with your fundraiser and then you'll come do our concert.
Yeah, basically.
Very transactional about it. And so they're goofing off. They're actually not helping. And Toby bets Wilkie $20 that he won't run all the way through the car wash. So Wilkie does it. Side note.
You'd be beat up if you ran through the car wash.
Oh, I was just going to say that Wilkie,
he's also
Austin Butler in a soaking wet t-shirt.
Very hot.
I know he was like probably in his 20s when he did this role, but like no man looks like that. Like I was like, that is fucking crazy. He looks like an Avenger. It's insane.
I know, it was jarring.
It was like pornographic.
He runs through the car wash and he doesn't get beat up.
No.
Those brushes are tough. He doesn't get burned by the hot wax.
Well, that's what he says is he bails out at the hot wax.
He doesn't get cuts and bruises.
No. So they're like, you didn't make it all the way through. They're arguing over whether or not he deserves the $20. And they're all laughing and talking over each other. And Emmett's doing his own thing. He's not involved. He's like walking by them. And Bae pulls him into the conversation. And then signs Toby. And then is like, oh, what's the sign for bet? Which I didn't know. I didn't know the sign for bet either. They also don't tell us what it is. Bet.
Yeah.
Oh, like a poker.
So it's a
bet.
B's on both hands, and then you flip them over like pancakes.
Cute.
Try and describe this.
I guess this is an audio format. She doesn't remember the sign, so she's finger spells bet. Also, I hate her B. Her B is like she goes bet, but like it's
Can you describe to the audience what her B looks like?
Thumb in, all 4 fingers like sprawled as wide as they can go.
Instead of together like it should be.
Yeah, so like the B is wrong. As she's talking, she said, Toby bet Wilkie $20 that he wouldn't run through the car wash. But she only signs fucking Toby BET car.
Yeah.
And then
Emmett's not getting any of the story.
Emmett's not getting any of it. Wilkie's like, no, I got it. Starts yelling at him, talking over Bae. And Emmett's like, absolutely not. And just like walks away.
Fair. Not the time.
Yeah. And Bae comes after him and is like, what the heck? And she's like, why are you mad? And he's like, you didn't remember the sign for bet. And
okay. I wasn't super happy with him. I wasn't happy with anyone at this moment because, one, Bae wasn't being considerate.
Yeah.
But also, it's been 2 weeks.
And she says that
I've been
not
learning
really why he's mad.
It's not why he's mad, but he is taking it out on her. And she says, I've been learning to sign for 2 weeks. I never learned the sign for bet. Did you? I only learned it from signing with other people.
You just had to teach it to me just now.
Yeah.
But I think he's more so mad about
like, this is where I gave up.
And being pulled into an interaction that she pulls him in and then she's not ready to make him comfortable in there.
Yeah.
So it's like, then don't pull me into that.
If you're not going to make the conversation accessible to me, then don't involve me. But then he goes on to further say, like, you're just going to drop ASL like you drop everything else.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pretend to understand hearing people. I don't want you to be my interpreter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He unleashes a lot of like fears on her that he has about this relationship all at once.
Yeah, and Bae catches on like, oh, you have talked to Daphne.
I wanted to ask you if you thought that she was catching everything he was saying too. Because he's signing like slow, but not as slow as usual, like still pretty fast. And he's like saying a lot. And I feel like she's like staring at him and then she's like, you talked to Daphne, didn't you? And that's her only takeaway. Which, if I was Emmett, that would piss me off. Even though she's right. Yeah. Like, even though she's right, the fact that she ignores, like, he's just shared a lot of really real fears with her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and she doesn't,
and she just makes it about Daphne.
Yeah.
Instead of being
It is about Daphne.
But it is and it isn't. Like, Daphne is involved, but then there is also, like, Bae earlier says to Toby, because Toby's like, why are you here? And Bae's like, me and Emmett are kind of... She makes these weird eyes at Toby to, like, imply that they're dating. But I'm like, why would you make those eyes at your brother? I hate that. Yeah. And he's like, oh, how do you guys communicate? And she's like, I'm learning to sign. And he's like, I thought he doesn't hang out with hearing people. What does that make you? And she says, special.
I'm different. I'm not like other girls.
Yeah, I hate it. And it makes me think, like, it kind of adds a little bit of weight to what Emmett is saying.
Yes.
Like, she's not taking it seriously enough, maybe?
Like, she deserves an award for being this healing girl who's learning.
I think it's just that, like, she truly doesn't understand the weight of the relationship that they're maybe embarking on.
And also, she wasn't planning on learning, really.
Yeah.
Or as learning as much. Because she did ask Emmett 2 episodes ago, do you speak?
Yes.
Do you ever speak?
Yes.
And then he had to be the one to say, no, girl.
Yeah, you're going to learn to sign. I don't know. I don't know.
It's frustrating on all ends.
Yeah.
I understand
sort of everybody's
his
the asshole, but I, like, feel more empathy towards Emmett in this situation.
I think I do, too. As the deaf person in this situation, I think I do, too. Because I've been in several situations where I've been with hearing people and they're all cracking up and I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, why am I here? Fuck this. You know? So, like, I get it. I get his frustrations and his fears. And that's something I've also worried about with my partner. Like, I don't want her to have to be the interpreter all the time. I want to be able to figure things out for myself. I don't want to, always have to rely on other people.
Yeah, so I think Emmett's valid. I don't think he should have crashed out on her like that.
No, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to me than what Bay is doing in the scene.
Where are we? Because we kind of jumped ahead.
I know we did. Okay, so before the car wash, Bay invites Angelo.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, before all of that happens.
But before the car wash, fundraiser at least, before Bay even goes to the car wash fundraiser, she invites Angelo to the Kenish house and just introduces him to John and Catherine. No warning.
Yeah, I think they literally come from the hotel
I think so.
bar.
And she goes, "This is my bio dad." And I think John and Catherine have a valid reaction, which is, "What are you doing here? Like, why are you here?"
Yeah, they get really mad really fast. I don't know. I think he could have gone about it better, but I think no matter how he went about it, they would have crashed out like this.
I don't think the best reaction would have been to be furious like they are, because John especially is furious.
John is
fuming.
So, yeah, and that's when you realize that, like, he's gotten to be the only dad so far in this scenario. True. And he does not like that there's another one in the picture. Yeah, he probably should have reached out to Regina first.
Yeah.
But I think he didn't, because I think genuinely, I think Regina would have ignored him and not told anybody that he even tried.
Yeah.
Like, just knowing her.
But yeah, John and Catherine are furious, like, what the hell are you doing here? And Angelo goes, "I don't need your permission." You do, actually. You have no legal rights over Bay or Daphne.
So I was going to ask, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Are we sure, though?
So he's not biologically related to Daphne. He's
right. He doesn't have rights over Daphne, but, like, does he have rights over Bay? I guess it gets confusing because he's not the man listed on the birth certificate.
He's not on Bay's birth certificate.
He is. That's what's fuck. He's on Daphne. You're right.
He's on Daphne's.
He's on Daphne's.
But also Bay. He left, and I think because of that, Regina has sole custody. And also, no court would ever allow him.
No, that's definitely true that he couldn't.
What, is he going to go to court and been like, "I've been away for 14 years.
Yeah.
I want to have custody of Daphne and also Bay, who I have also not talked to."
No, definitely not. But I think...
But he has no legal rights at this moment. He could fight for legal rights, but he's not going to win. But at this point, he does not have any legal rights.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Daphne walks in.
Daphne walks in, and she doesn't know what's going on. All she sees is John and Catherine and Bay and some strange man who she does not know, all fighting. And she's like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, she's like, who is this? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? No one's listening to her. And then Bay just signs from the corner, "Our Father."
Yeah. And Daphne,
I kind of love that she, like, walks out, and then she walks right back in.
I'm leaving. No, I'm not.
She's like, hold on.
And then... And Angelo's like, okay.
He gives a pretty good speech until the end. For a minute, he's like, "I'm sorry. I know that you don't, like, there was a lot of reasons why I left, but none of them matter to you. All that you know is that your father left you, and I'm so sorry, and I'm, like, here to make it up to you." And then he stops, and then he fucks it all up. Because Daphne is processing. I can see it. I'm sure you could see it on her face. She's like, okay, this man has just shown up and said, like, a pretty good prepared speech.
Yeah.
I think she expected him to be speechless or say something stupid. And instead of letting her process, he goes, "You don't understand anything I'm saying, do you?"
So do you think she actually did understand what he's saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you not?
Well, part of me was like, he's a brand new man and he has a French accent.
That's true.
He's probably hard to lip read, actually.
But then he says, "You don't understand anything I'm saying, do you?" And she looks him up and down and she goes, "No, I don't." And she walks out. And I think that she means it in, like, a spiritual sense, not in a, like, in a heart sense, not in a,
I took it literally.
Okay.
I took it as she literally doesn't understand anything he's saying.
I do feel that the show would not have Daphne's super-powered lip reading fail her in this dramatic moment.
I was going to say, she's so good at lip reading every other situation. In the dark, when people are moving their heads.
Yeah, no. I think the point there was to highlight that Angelo doesn't know anything about her. So that's why he's like, "Oh, wait, you don't understand me."
Right.
And so that hurts her. Like, after the speech that she's processing, he then immediately lets out this big reminder that he hasn't been there. He doesn't know her. And also Daphne associates him with leaving because she was deaf. Right. So for him to then immediately bring it up, she's like, "Actually, I don't understand what the fuck you're saying. Like, fuck you." And leaves. Because she's like, how am I supposed to square what you just said to me with everything I know about you?
Best thing Daphne did this whole episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Oh, this was the moment that I just wanted to note that Toby and Wilkie show up at Carlton. And Emmett's like, are you guys lost? And they're like, no, we're here for you, buddy. And they're dressed like the idiot twins. And Toby's got a fucking pointy-shouldered vest on. It's like a little baby Bay Area tech bro vest. It's so strange. Wow. And Emmett's like, I'm absolutely not playing your festival. And that's why they show up at the car wash the next day.
Yes.
And then Regina shows up at the house, and the Kennishes are like, Angelo was here. And she's like, what the fuck? And then the Kennishes are judgy about it. Like,
they're like, did you know about this? And she's like, no.
They're like, did you know? And she's like, no. But then Catherine goes, where did you meet this guy? Catherine, fuck you.
Like, he's a criminal. Okay. I mean, he is.
But they don't know that.
We don't know that yet.
And Regina's like, we met in Chicago.
We met like a bar. Whatever.
Yeah.
A normal place people meet. But yeah. Some weird racial stuff, I think. Yeah. But then Regina says, he's not violent. The only person he poses a real threat to is me.
She means, like, her sobriety.
That's what I thought. I was like, is there anything more to that?
No.
Daphne is being emo about just meeting her, not her bio dad, but Angelo, the dad who left her. And she's sadly watching Food Network with the closed captions on, which I really like that detail.
That's so cute. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I was like, obviously she would be watching that. I get it.
Yeah.
Perfect. And Regina checks in on her. First thing she's done. First mom thing she's done.
Got some mom instincts left, even though she's busy with the salon.
I know. And Daphne cries, and she says, I don't want to see him again.
Yeah. Like, she's also like, did you know?
Yeah.
And Regina's
hey,
like,
liar,
no.
mom. Yeah. Did you know?
And Daphne's like, I just don't know what else you would keep from me. And Regina, thankfully, instead of getting on her high horse, is like, I guess I deserve that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But she says, I don't want to see Angelo again. I'm not ready. Bae can see him somewhere else. And then Regina says, I can't control where Bae sees him. I think you can. Not that she's like the sole parent of Bae, but I think
she could say, hey, for the benefit of the other daughter that lives here, would you guys mind having your daddy-daughter days somewhere that's not this home?
I think you can absolutely do that. But Regina,
accommodation to ask for.
I think that is extremely fair to ask of Bae. You're the adult. But Regina's like, I can't control that. That's not my problem.
She said, I can't control what Bae's gonna do, but I'll make sure that he doesn't hurt you again. Girl, what is in your control? So then, yeah, Catherine comes to check on Bae, and she's like, it's not that we don't want you to see him. We just want it to be respectful to us. I feel like they're gaslighting Bae.
In what way?
Catherine being like, we're not mad and we're not going to keep you from seeing him.
As we just yelled at you and said you
can't see him. Yeah. And then John's downstairs trying to figure out a plan to keep her from seeing him. So I
don't know if is it he wants to keep her from seeing him, or does he want to have rules and boundaries in place for this man they do not know?
I think no one's being sympathetic towards Bae that's her dad. Her fucking bio mom is a dud. Regina is not checking in on Bae. Regina is not building a relationship with Bae. She's been searching for this dad since she found out about the switch.
Yeah.
Which no one has been helping her with. She's been working really hard towards this. And then also, credit to her that she decided to tell her parents at all.
Yeah.
Bae could have kept it a secret. It obviously would have come out eventually. But, like, Bae could have kept it a secret and continued to see him and build her relationship on her own terms. Right. I just think, like, at 16, she is old enough that you can't be like, you will have one scheduled phone call a week with him with supervision.
It's hard to stop.
That's fucked up.
Okay, fair. It should have just all been a discussion.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is not realistic. This is a soap opera TV show.
These people don't talk to each other.
No. And then...
Yeah. So then we're at the car wash.
Then we're at the car wash, and then that whole thing happens.
And then...
Angelo the Ambusher is what I call him.
Yeah. Ambushalo. He goes and he gets Regina at work.
Outside the salon.
And he looks good standing up.
And Regina says, nice try. I know you're here because you just found out you have a rich daughter. You want the money from the hospital case.
Got his ass.
Yeah.
And then Regina and Angelo are fighting in a random park because he's like,
yes,
hear me out. I'm not just here for the money. And that's when it's revealed. There's like a lot. He says, thing that stands out to me here.
What? I left you. Get over it.
That's kind of not what he says, though. He's
explaining why he left a little bit.
Right. Regina's like, you left. And he's like, yes. And then he says, I wanted to stay in touch.
But you kept pushing me away.
He even says, like, you wouldn't let me. And she says, well, by the time you reached out, she was older and she didn't remember you.
And she didn't remember you.
And, like, it would have just been too painful. So that's a huge plot point. I don't know if that's going to come up later, but, like, that is so fucked up. Going back to, remember when we were like, Daphne comes and she's like, did dad leave because I was deaf? Right. Or because I went deaf? And then she says...
He left because he was too chicken to, like, have a family. To, like, be in a family.
Yes. But the conversation makes Daphne feel like yes. That he did leave because she went deaf. And I remember at the time being like, I know Regina can't say the true reason he left was because of the DNA test at that moment because it hadn't come out yet. But beyond that, it is so shitty that she's let Daphne feel like he totally dropped out of their lives after that point. Right. When he was making efforts to try to come back. Maybe not consistent efforts. I mean, we've seen Angelo. He probably was sending a text every once in a while or whatever. But it's better than your dad completely left.
Vanish into thin air.
Yeah. Yeah. Right after you went deaf and somehow you're not supposed to connect those two.
Yeah, obviously she would. But yeah, as I'm rewatching the show, there's more and more reasons for me to not like Regina in this rewatch. Go.
I know, I feel bad at how much I, like, really hate her this season.
I know.
But it's not good. Also, like, to credit him, he really thought that Regina had an affair. And he still wanted to keep in touch with that tiny toddler that was not his child.
He did raise the child for 3 years.
He left because, and he said, you pushed me away. You said if I didn't trust you, I should just leave. So I left. I hate Regina for making me side with a man, but, like, in this one instance, I feel that Angelo has some good points.
Yeah. Angelo is at his hotel now, and he's paying for something.
And this moment, I've deemed him Scamgelo.
That's good.
because he's like, my ID says Angelo, but my credit card says Adam.
Don't worry about it. I
explained this to the manager. Is she here? Like, what are you doing, scammer?
But you know what? I bet the concierge has hard eyes. So they're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, again, it would work on me.
Yeah, so Adam, handsome. Whatever.
And John shows up.
I don't think he hears that whole Adam thing.
But he's, like, there to... What is he there to do? I feel like he's there to spook him, to scare him away. This is what I mean about, like... John is genuinely like, I don't want you seeing my daughter.
He said, I'm daddy.
He's literally, yeah. But Angelo kind of out-daddies him. He's like... Actually, I know about your lawsuit and I have insider knowledge that would be helpful.
Yeah, and that insider knowledge is the nurse assigned to the girls worked 48 hours straight, which is 36 hours past union rules. Dun dun.
So you need me.
So you need me because I have this nurse.
Yeah. And so then the Kenishes immediately go to their lawyer, who, does their lawyer suck?
Yeah, basically, they're like, so why didn't you find out about this?
And she says, like...
So she's like, so they did depose the nurse, and she never said anything like this. So I'm concerned that Angelo is coercing this nurse to say that and promising her money from the deposition.
Yeah. And she says, like, that's a big deal. If you guys legally entangle yourself with him, you could go to jail. She susses me out, though. Something about her I do not trust. I cannot remember if there's information that I'm forgetting later on.
There is.
Okay. So yeah, like because she's like such a lame lawyer. Like her just being like, that's the best deal you're going to get.
Blah, do you want to know what happened? Do you want me to tell you?
No, let me react in real time.
Okay, and then next scene, Regina's at the bank, and the bank is like, haha,
yeah, blah,
get
blah,
out.
Blah, yeah.
Now we're Colton.
Oh, yeah. Toby shows up.
And you said, you made my sister sad.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not playing your festival. And he's like, I'm not here about that. I'm here about my sister.
But he signs sister incorrectly. He signs, so sister is...
like a single gun finger.
A single gun. Like, both of your hands are in an L shape.
Yeah.
And then your right hand is going from your chin to the other L. This is hard to explain on an audio.
No, I think you're doing a good job.
But it goes from your chin to the other L, and that's sister. But the way Toby is doing it is he's doing finger guns.
Yeah.
So it's like your pointer finger and your middle finger and your thumb are out on both hands, and he's doing it like this.
Yeah, and this is like the first time we've seen Toby sign.
Yes.
So that's huge.
Huge.
But so far this season, every time someone brings up learning sign, he's like, oh yeah. And then just moves on. Like, he's not like, oh, I should do a little bit of that. This is the first time.
First time. And Emmett's like, so first of all, fuck you. That sign is wrong.
Yeah.
He does what Daphne should have done earlier.
Yeah, he grabs his hand and he goes, this is a gun.
And this is sister.
And this is sister. It's kind of hot. And also like the start of maybe him and Toby kind of becoming friends a little bit.
Oh, finally Toby's learning.
Like, come on. Yeah, so then Emmett shows up at Buckner.
He comes up to...
So much of people showing up to each other's schools just in this episode.
How are you getting on the school property? But Emmett comes up to Bay and he goes, I haven't been around. He basically apologizes for his behavior at the car
Yeah, he gives
wash.
a very romantic speech.
And he goes, I haven't been around a lot of hearing people, but with you, it's different. I don't want you to be deaf. And then he speaks.
And then he says,
I just want you. And I wish he didn't do that.
Really?
I don't think he needs to profess his dedication to her.
You don't think it was like, I kind of agree with you, but I think, first of all, it's the only time it happens in the show.
Yes. But
I think it's kind of him as the character trying to be like, I understand that you're working so hard to be a part of my world. To acknowledge that, I will this one time like vocally tell you how much I care for you in your language.
I think it still would have been just as meaningful if he signed, I want you.
Maybe he was worried she wouldn't understand.
Okay, I want
you.
No,
I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I understand. I guess as a hearing person, I didn't see a problem with it.
I think I was just like, I think it tracks for his character that he would voice because he loves to change for a girl. As we're seeing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I'm going to take speech therapy, I'm going to change for this girl.
Yes.
But I think in terms of representation and showing stuff like that on TV, I was like, oh, man.
You're right. It is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
That's the emotional peak.
That's the emotional peak. That's how you show love to someone. It was not my favorite.
They also don't kiss after, which I found odd. Like, they hug.
She just said thanks, and then he leaves.
I think it might be partially that it's like held back by the fact that it's like too soon in their relationship for him to say I love you.
That would be crazy.
And so it is, but I think like a speech like this kind of would build to like
it would go to
a confession of love.
It would.
And so maybe that's why it also kind of like falls weirdly flat.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I understand your feelings about it.
Next scene, we're back at the Kenish house, and Toby and Wilkie are packing up the car for the festival. They're going to go East-West Fest with Emmett.
East-West Fest with Emmett.
And East-West Fest, I think, is the next episode,
which I'm
so very excited about.
They're packing up. Emmett, like, kisses Bay goodbye.
In front of Daphne.
Visibly upset about this.
Yeah.
And then Toby sees that and, like, tries to ease the situation a little bit. And then Wilkie's trying to flirt with Daphne. Daphne doesn't really care.
Yeah.
And then the boys all drive off, and Bay's
but
like...
Bay does her little art stuff, and she makes stickers, and she makes a drum cover for the show.
I honestly thought the drum cover was ugly, so I wasn't going to say anything about it.
It's the thought that counts. And she also gave them her car.
That's true. She gives them her car.
Because it's strong enough to carry, like, their U-Haul or whatever they had. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they drive off, and Bay's like, hey, Daphne, are you okay?
And she goes, no.
Daphne's like, actually, no, I'm not. You made me break up with Liam. Liam, who she hasn't mentioned in so long. Like,
who you do not care about.
She could have gotten back with him.
You could have.
So many times.
She goes, I'm not giving up. Emmett is mine. And I am not okay with the Angelo situation either. Yeah. So take that.
Yeah.
But I think, Daphne is... selfish is the wrong word, but she's not thinking about Bay's feelings here and that. I was kind of like, go, Bay doesn't have, like, any present parents right now. Regina's not there.
Yeah.
And Daphne kind of hit the jackpot with John. Like, John is a present father. He's very involved.
Yeah.
He's, like, the school basketball coach. And Bay finally gets some guy who wants to be involved in her life.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course.
I understand why Daphne feels the way she feels completely, but yeah. I don't know. It is a bummer. I do think it's just like the Emmett fallout has made Daphne be like anti anything Bay wants.
Yes.
So
I agree.
And that's sad. Sad to see the girls fighting.
Yeah.
They're always fighting. But like I wish that they could just like be friends.
I know.
And then back inside, Regina comes to ask Catherine about Angelo, and Catherine's like, don't worry, because he's going back to Chicago tonight. And Regina's like, oh great. And then she walks outside and Angelo is there waiting for her in the shadows. Ambushelo appears from the shadows, and he's like, hey.
Why would you think it's a good idea to show up on the property when he did, like, the day prior and John and Catherine had a hissy fit? Like, why would he think that's ever a good idea?
I don't know. And she's very chill about the fact that he's there. She doesn't freak out about it at all.
No, she's, oh, hey.
And you know what, Regina? I get it, girl. He's so cute.
And he said, I'm going to get you money from the hospital. Yeah, so you can open up your own salon.
I called you. Where were you? And she was like, I was at the bank trying to get a loan to open up a salon. And he was like, amazing. Like, they're just chit-chatting. Like, the last 14 years of separation haven't happened. And she's like, well, it's not going to work out. I didn't get the loan. And he's like, I'm about to win a bunch of money in this lawsuit. And half of whatever is mine is yours.
And then Angelo's like, oh, by the way, I'm not going back to Chicago. I will be buying or renting a place. I'm staying in Kansas City. So you'll be seeing more of me.
And that's the end of the episode.
That is the end of the episode. They really crammed so much into this.
We've talked about this episode for an hour and a half at this point. This episode that's about 45 minutes long.
I love that.
Yeah, they just don't make TV like they used to.
They really don't.
We accomplished so much. And I was right. They don't tell Bae in this episode that they kiss. Do we ever find that out?
I don't think Bae ever finds out.
Crazy.
She finds out about other things, but not that, to my knowledge.
I hate the other things. I know.
I
just want to skip over that. It's awful.
Well, we have to. It's the nature of doing the show. Yeah. Much to come.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for a bonus episode.
Yeah, tune in next week. Watch The Family Stone ahead of time if you want.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.